Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to The Wellness Coach on Blog Talk Radio. I'm your host, Edie Summers, and I am really excited and blessed and grateful today to have as my guest Rusty Gregory. Rusty is a fellow Well Coaches certified wellness coach, and we're going to get into that a little bit, how we both went through the same program through Well Coaches. Wellness coaching is a really amazing way to learn literally how to change your health habits, which is where a lot of us get stuck. So, and that's obviously the title of my radio show is actually called The Wellness Coach. So it's really nice to have a wellness coach on here with me. So Rusty Gregory is the author of two books. There's Living Wheat-Free for Dummies and also Self-Care Reform, How to Discover Your Own Path to Good Health. He received his BS in Commercial and Industrial Fitness in 1989 from Texas Tech University and his MS in Kinesiology in 1991 from the University of Michigan. In 1991, he began his personal training business in Austin, Texas, and became a certified strength and conditioning specialist with the National Strength and Conditioning Association. In 1995, he opened Forte Personal Fitness, a personal training studio. Rusty became a certified cancer exercise specialist with the Cancer Exercise Training Institute when he saw the particular needs that cancer patients have before, during, and after diagnosis and treatment. He is a contributing expert for DailyRx.com. Rusty is also a certified wellness coach. He helps people make lasting behavioral changes that lead them to become their best selves. Coaching has allowed him to become more empathetic with people and their wellness issues. Rusty has seen many realize a higher level of wellness and begin to live life with more depth, meaning, and purpose. He uses this approach in Self-Care Reform, How to Discover Your Own Path to Good Health, to motivate people to action. So I'm going to welcome Rusty into the studio. Hi, Rusty. How are you?
Hi, Edie. I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me on your show today. I so appreciate it.
Oh, sure. It's my pleasure. It's my honor. And like I keep mentioning, this is kind of a big deal for me. First of all, you and I have two things in common. We're both authors, and we're both certified wellness coaches, but specifically through Well Coaches. So there are a number of things I would love to know. I know I definitely want to get into like what motivated you to write your book and kind of get into that. And first, really quickly, I'm curious if you could just tell us how was your experience with Well Coaches, and also kind of like what your backstory is, if you're okay with that? Like what your history is, or just okay.
My history, okay. Well,
just how did you get into health and wellness, and then what led you to Well Coaches, and
Sure.
Okay.
Well, once I graduated and got my master's degree, I came back to Austin. It was about the time that personal training, the industry, started to take off back in the early 90s here in Texas. And as any new graduate, I suppose, in your mid-20s, you kind of expect everybody, you think you know everything, first of all. And second of all, you think everybody shares your enthusiasm. And in the health and wellness field, I was big into the working out and the eating right and doing this right and that right. And no one, I wouldn't say no one, but there weren't many that shared that same enthusiasm. So I was a little distraught at first. Basically, my eyes were open to the real world. And this went on, so I continued training and almost accepted it, but I kind of had this thing that just kind of grew in me. It's a frustration, I guess, that over time, you know, I didn't see that. I didn't see a whole lot of change just around me in my own environment until about 5 years ago. That's when I decided, hey, you know, this might be the answer. The Well Coach training program may be the answer to help me reach people that just don't think I'm a total freak and, you know, wanting to do all the healthy stuff all the time. And sure enough, it did. I mean, it really opened my eyes to a great approach to people who are really stuck. I mean, you said it in the intro really well. I mean, it's, you know, we get stuck. I get stuck. We all get stuck. And it's kind of getting past that sticking point and knowing how to help somebody do that. That's the key.
Exactly, and that's really what wellness coaching is helping people get past that place where they're stuck. Right. And it's also more than that. It's also thriving. I mean, in your book, it's kind of also like how can you find it's finding meaning, and we can go beyond feeling stuck too. So and get into pleasure and engagement and meaning and finding joy in your life, and like what's beyond that place of being stuck. Like I'm not sure people realize that sometimes is because they're so used to feeling stuck. When you're in that place, you might think that's all there is.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know, it's the whole idea of disease. I mean, if you're disease free, you must be healthy. And that's not well, I guess that may be true on some level, but we're not well.
Technically,
wellness takes on a whole it takes on a whole new level of it's so much more than just being disease free. But we have a system in place that practices that very thing in diagnosing your problem, treating it. Here's a pill to make you better. And
absolutely.
It's a sick care system. It's not a health care system. We don't go when we're healthy. We go when we're sick. It's a sick care system.
Yeah. That's so well said. No, and so my question is, so what motivated you to write your book? The Self-Care Reform. First of all, I love that title. It's a fabulous title. I mean, it really could be like its own phrase, you know. Because that's really what we need. Instead of like healthcare reform, we need self-care reform. Isn't that really what it's getting down to?
Yeah. Now, this is no scientific study or anything like this, but one of my personal training clients is a doctor. He's a physician. And I asked him, I said, hey, you know, if we all got the sleep that we needed, if we all ate a healthy diet, what exactly that means is up for debate, but we all can agree on certain things. If we managed our stress, if we exercise regularly, I mean, would we be seeing these diseases that we're seeing right now? I mean, what would the state of healthcare be? Would we be having these conversations that we're having? And he said, you know, healthcare claims may be reduced 60, 70, 80%. And, you know, we wouldn't be having this discussion.
Absolutely.
And it's just amazing. And it really is. It's up to you and me and everybody else to do our part, not only for our own health and wellness, but for the entire country. It's right there for the taking.
Yeah. I actually really agree with that, and I think because I don't know if you've noticed this too, but like well-being is kind of like the foundation of like almost everything else, and I'm not like knocking people that like maybe you know, like somebody has like there might be sometimes a genetic thing that you really can't get around, or you just do the best you can with, but for most of us, well-being is like this. It's a way to live your life that actually gives you the power to do everything else. And I feel like we've kind of lost our sense of empowerment because we tend to look outside of ourselves for the answers, especially when it comes to our health. You know, instead of like you were talking about finding your own path and sort of internalizing and taking responsibility for our own health. I think that's a huge part of it. We tend to defer to experts, which is fine and all. But that's the thing with coaching, right? Like when we're coaches, we're not experts. We're there to guide somebody along the journey, but not tell them what to do, right? Because you can only figure that out for yourself. Right.
We don't give them our way. We allow them to find their own way. And that's the key, because they're not, we always put up that I call it the Heisman. If you're familiar with the Heisman Trophy, it's got that that arm bending the other player. We tend to do that. That wall of resistance goes up when we're told to do something. No one wants to be told to do anything.
It's really
true. So we discover, oh my gosh, this is my own way of thinking. This is my own idea. This is based on what I enjoy doing. It's based around my own time schedule, my family life, my work life, that. I can make this work. And so that's, you're right. The coaching way is just that. It's allowing people to do it their way and hold themselves accountable for it.
Mm-hmm. And hold themselves accountable, yes. And also but when you hold yourself accountable as to somebody else telling you what to do, right? Like, it's a whole different ballgame. Like, you actually when you find that internal motivation, and like sense of like internal locus of determination and will, it can become effortless, right? Because if you're in coaching, are you okay if we go a little deeper with this? Because since we're both trained in this, I'm hoping that I'm hoping that some people listening will have like a little light bulb that goes off, because I feel like I don't know if this happens to you, but I have a lot of people who ask me, what is wellness coaching? And I feel like it's a really simple answer, but trying to explain it I feel like it's more of like something you have to experience, because I find myself not knowing how to explain it to people, maybe because it is so simple, but it's also so profound. The funny thing about that is we do this all the time when we converse with another person. We can, I say that, we can be talking back and forth, and I can be telling you about an issue that's going on in my life, and then the more I talk about it, I'm like, oh, okay, I just figured out the answer to my own problem. Or how I'm going to address it by just talking about it, and you don't realize it, but you just coached me into that. Or maybe you do realize it because you're a coach. Right.
But I'm just taking person A and person B. So often we can pull that out of people, and we don't even realize we're doing it.
Yeah.
And so that's what's so profound about it, is that we all have a friend who comes and talks to us, and oftentimes they'll spill their guts, and when they do that, they're like, oh, man, there's my answer right there. I just figured out what I'm going to do.
Mm-hmm. And it's getting – go ahead.
I was just going to say, there's their light bulb.
There's their what?
Their light bulb. It goes off.
There's the light bulb. Yes, and it is. Sometimes you need that other person to be a mirror for you and to reflect back to you what you're saying to yourself, and also what you're saying to everybody else. Like, and we may not hear ourselves saying, "I can't do this," or "That doesn't work for me," or "This is just how it is." Like, we don't. If we say those things to ourselves over and over again, you're gonna get kind of numb to it, and you won't realize like what your own stumbling blocks are. So, so that's a huge part of what a wellness coach can do is be that mirror for you. But then also, one thing I really love about wellness coaching, and particularly the model that we learned under, which is the Well Coaches model, is we really follow like positive psychology and like focusing on what's going right and what's not going. Instead of focusing on what's going wrong. And that is a huge difference when you build this positive core first, right? And like focus on and like looking at everything in your life from a positive angle, and also what's going to make you feel good along the way. Then people realize, hopefully, and this could be another light bulb moment, that, oh, wait a second, changing can be an enjoyable process because I'm heading toward goals that I really want. And I can get there in a way that feels good on my own terms.
Confidence is huge, and anytime you create an I can attitude through positive self-talk, positive coaching, any kind of positive approach, it creates that I can do this. I mean, this is not beyond, and especially when you're creating your own program, who creates an own program that they can't do themselves? So, I mean, they do it yourself, create your own, approach does lend itself to that more positive approach, positive psychology, because it's like, you know what, I can do this. And as a coach, you question the client, is this realistic? And what is your confidence level? And when they're saying, oh, I'm an 8, a 9, a 10, or something like that, I feel really good about this. There you go. It's that positive approach you're talking about. You bet it always wins.
It makes a difference, and yeah, yep. You were talking about confidence, and that's what a lot of people feel like they lack, is that confidence, and so this is what wellness coaching can also do for you, and also what your book does, right? It asks you questions, it walks you through steps of how can you build more confidence in literally setting goals that are, if you set small goals, right, as opposed to trying to chase after these huge goals, like. Right. I just remember I just saw a clip of audio clip from Will Smith and the actor, and he was saying, like, look, you don't build a brick house by like telling yourself, okay, I'm going to somehow magically build this brick house. You do it one brick at a time. And right. That's how you can build your confidence with setting goals, is like you take one small goal and accomplish it, and a small goal is you can absolutely do it because it's small. And that builds your confidence, and that gives you more confidence to try something else. And so these are the building blocks of changing your health patterns. So
Rusty, impatient. We're so impatient. I want it now. I want it all, and I want it right now. But you're absolutely right. That's what it takes. It takes the small things so that in 3, 6, 12 months from now, you will see a huge difference. A huge difference in your overall health.
Absolutely. And then is that so I was going to ask you, so I'm not sure if you already answered this. So what motivated you to write your book? Did you already answer that? I'm not sure. And then, let's start there. Let's start there, and then we'll go through it, because there's some, we'll go through this in a...
Well, one of the things that kind of frustrated me there, that those first 15 years from graduating, starting to train, and then discovering well coaches in the program and how that affected my approach was, the eating the healthy diet, the exercise regularly, the managing the stress. We've got all this information, and it's great. It's preventative health care. But it hasn't worked. I mean, we live in in an information age. We are bombarded, maybe to a fault. I mean, we know all the benefits of the exercise. We know the consequences of not eating healthy. At some point, we've heard at least once, if not 5 million times. I know I'm in the field. I study it daily, but I know it's in the press, on television. I can't go to a party. I can't go to a social gathering without somebody telling me they need to lose weight. It's on people's minds. It's there. You're right. And so as a result of that, we're sicker, we're fatter, we're more stressed out, we're more sleep deprived. And why? And soaring healthcare costs and all that. I believe that there's this gap of information in taking action. And that's what my book seeks to fill that gap. It provides the tools necessary to help bridge that gap. That says, and of course somebody can get that information and not want to act on it, or not believe that they have a problem. I don't believe you need to have a problem. Of course, this is our sick care system talking to us. It says, oh, you've got to have a problem to take action. Well, no, you don't. I mean, I'm talking to, right now, I'm talking to the person who hasn't worked out in 30 years or eats a very unhealthy diet or is very stressed out. And I'm also talking to the person who seemingly has it all together. I'm talking to the person who's training daily, triathlete, eats the best diet ever, and blah, blah, blah. They've got to stay there, right? And these other rest of us lie somewhere on the continuum, and we're trying to get there. And that goes back to Portas's stages of change model. We can talk about that a little bit later, but we're all trying to get that point. What's the word I'm looking at? We're trying to perform at the highest level. in all the areas
kind of reach, absolutely, kind of reach that flow state, and also maybe feeling actualized, as much as that's within our human capabilities, like self-actualized, just living at our peak. And then, but I think you have a really great point that wellness coaching isn't just for people who are maybe feeling stuck, but it is also for people, you want to maintain that level. If you are living at that peak or that level of mastery, I think Well Coaches talks about mastery. Even there, you still need to fine tune. And I know that for me, my issue is stress management. Always, it's I'm realizing this more and more. No matter how, that's where my well-being is always being challenged. So there's always ways that you can tweak your performance and how you take care of yourself. How you view yourself, what your habits are, you can always refine them. So, and that's what I love about wellness coaching, because it does take you along that continuum. So, that's a really great answer. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say about the book itself. I was asked so many times, so who's your audience? Who are you writing this for? And I and to this day, I give the wrong answer. Everybody. They're like, no, you can't. You don't get it. You can't do that. And on one level, I understand what they're saying. You know, you got to pinpoint a certain population of people. I'm like, no, all people need this. All people are somewhere in the stages of change. There are different areas in their life at any given time in their life, and unless they are, you know, the I am still people, and they're doing it in all areas of their wellness, and they have for the last 30 or 40 years, and there are not many of those, by the way. Unless you're there, maybe you still need the book because you need to stay there. I mean, it's, you know, I truly believe it's for all people, and these tools, if you haven't been using them, are very helpful, and so many of them.
Absolutely.
I've gotten not only from Well Coaches, but and implemented them into my own coaching and training, but I've also developed some myself because I've seen those work as well. So.
And it's chock full of great tools. And also, though, I think you're right. Like, this is a huge blind spot for us, all of us. Like we were kind of talking about in the beginning. So I think everyone can benefit from it because it really is like a whole different paradigm. It's a whole different way of looking at what health and well-being is, and how to, again, we tend to look to others to fix our own health problems, and that's like missing the point entirely. So self-care reform it's huge. That's a huge, it's a huge paradigm shift. So I thank you for writing this book, and we'll definitely mention at the end like where people can get it. But it's on Amazon, right? Is it?
Yes.
Is it available on Amazon? Okay.
It's on Amazon, and it's available both in the hard copy and ebook. So. Oh,
perfect. Yeah, I know ebook is so huge these days. And then, what would you say, Rusty, is the primary obstacle for people who are looking to make healthy lifestyle changes? We're talking about, so you mentioned like this continuum of change. There's different stages that people go through when they're changing, and people need to, give themselves a break if you are kind of in the early stages of change. And this is a whole thing that we may or may not have time to get into today because it's really pretty detailed, but just so people are aware. There are stages of change that you go through. And so give yourself a break if you're just in the beginning stages. However, in your opinion, what's the primary obstacle for people who are, and I don't know if this is related to the stages of change, but people who are actually looking to make healthy lifestyle changes, where do they get stuck anyway?
Actually, I've got a couple of them. I've been thinking about this, and I've got a couple for you. But it certainly is a lack of desire, and this whole sick care system, the diagnosis and then treatments. It's like, why take preventative care when all you have to do is take a pill? And I get that from some of my clients. I've been like, you hear my frustration? You know, and I'm like, come on, man. You know, you don't have to take the pill. You just do it yourself. It's
right.
Anyway. But also, you know, there's no immediate consequences for most poor lifestyle decisions.
Wow.
So
fascinating.
I can eat a donut. I can smoke a cigarette. Well, I can eat a donut and not get fat. Okay. I can smoke a cigarette and not get lung cancer. I can skip a workout and not become unfit. I'll just go tomorrow. But,
right.
you know, this one time leads to another time. It leads to day 3, day 4, week 6, you know, month 6, month 9, month 9. And all of a sudden it's what you do. And trying to get off the cigarettes, trying to change your diet, trying to get off the couch, it can be a bear. It truly can be a bear. It's tough.
Oh, my goodness.
It's tough a bit. And so this all plays into a lack of desire. And it slows that desire to make change. Because it's, you know, I truly believe we do things that are comfortable and that are easy. And when we have an addiction thing going, that's easy to feed. It's a lot harder not to feed that addiction. And
can you say that again? It's easier than, what did you say? What was the last? It's better. It's easier.
It's easier. I didn't say better. I said it's easier and more comfortable to feed an addiction than to starve an addiction. So if you're dying, it's a lot easier to pick it up, smoke it, and boom, all those negative feelings, bad feelings go away for the moment.
Right.
So
instead of just go ahead.
I was just going to say we tend to choose whatever's easiest in front of us, and a lot of times that's the fast food restaurant. It's quick, it's easy. Got to get the kids to band practice, the football practice, the whatever this is. You know, I'm in a hurry. I got 2 jobs. I got to and we don't slow down, and that. You know, that leads me to my another point, and that's that we live on autopilot.
Yeah,
okay?
absolutely.
Totally there's no mindfulness going on, you know, for the most part when we're doing this.
It's so true. It's so true. That mindfulness makes a huge difference. I'm actually studying this in school right now, and just really making a choice to be present for your life, and also the other part of it is accepting what's going on. It doesn't mean that you can't change it, but we tend to, if we resist what's going on, it tends to stay, and it tends to get bigger, actually, that resistance.
Right.
But I found that fascinating, though, how first you were talking about desire, but then you were also talking about addiction, and I heard you saying that those are like almost 2 different things, because you can have a desire to change. If you have a desire to change, that's a good thing. Like we want to like find that, and that's a good place. That's a fantastic place to make changes from, making those small changes that are going to add up over time, because we're motivated to do it, right? Because we have this desire, whatever the desire is, whether it's that's a wellness coaching tool is getting in touch with like what are your highest ideals, what are your highest goals, your highest ideals really, and values, like what do you value, and that can create desire, and then it makes it easier to follow through.
But that's one of the things I talk to people about is the trying to help them discover what's most important to them right now. And why?
Yes.
And if you can answer those questions, I mean, at a real level. I mean, don't just say, well, you know, I'd like to lose 5 pounds. You know, in a real
like in a mindful way.
A lot of people do that. Right. I mean, they'll do that just to try to make me happy sometimes. And instead of a mindful way, yes, but also in a way that evokes a deep emotion. Unless it does, I don't believe you get there. I don't believe you get to the point of making a profound change in your life unless you are able to identify what's most important to you And it is generated, that answer is generated by a profound emotion. Oftentimes, sadly, it is generated by fear. Doesn't have to be, but it oftentimes is. And
then,
fear,
so well said. Go ahead.
So I'm just saying, fear has a way of doing miraculous things to our behavior. Sometimes. Not always. Sometimes we get paralyzed by fear. You see all that as well. But it does. If it takes root, it can, not that I'm promoting fear, but I am promoting getting in touch with whatever emotion that it takes to come up with what's the most important answer.
Yeah, but
life.
It also could be desire. I mean, it could also be like what's beyond
Absolutely.
fear. And the thing is what I hear you also saying. So the flip side of desire in an unhealthy way is addiction, right? So we can have there are major addictions, but they are also what they call, now some people will call them in psychology they're called process addictions. So that would be like to food and gambling and things like that, like kind of like not the hardcore addictions, but still addictive behavior nonetheless, which also keeps us out of the present moment and also keeps us from not feeling maybe that one emotion that will actually be the catalyst for us to change, right? Like if we can never feel what it is that we are feeling, then we can't move anywhere. I think that's why people get stuck. And so I think that's really brilliant that you said that, because I think that's a great addition to kind of the well coaches model of having a vision or a goal or a value to aspire to, and that can motivate you to change. But also, like you were saying, you need to feel like, what is that? Like, what do you really, really want right in the present moment? That is going to be like that deep emotion, whether it's positive or negative. Hopefully, it can be positive, but sometimes it is negative. But just like really being honest with yourself about how you're really feeling, and then where can you go from there?
Absolutely. And I want to give one example, and this is how I discovered my mindfulness. And this was actually before well coaches. So I was coming around before. I went off 5 years ago to do my coaching training. But about 10 years ago, I got a wild hair to go to a sommelier training course. Not that I wanted to become a sommelier, but I wanted to learn more about wine. I was fascinated with its production and how they make it, how they grow the grapes, the soil, and all this, that, and the other. Very interesting. So here I am. I fly out to Florida to take this course, and lo and behold, they take you on a very in-depth, mindful experience, whether they realized they were doing it or not. They had us. Anytime you analyze a wine, you're looking at the visual. You're considering the visual, the nose, the palate, the finish. And in order to do that, you have got to separate. This isn't, yummy wine, gross wine. This isn't, you got to get rid of all positive and negative. I mean, positive included. You're getting rid of all that. And you're looking at what are you experiencing right here, right now. And it forces you to, because they're asking you, okay, what do you see? Describe. And as we were doing this, as we were describing what we were seeing and smelling and tasting and how the fish was, it was all about non-judgmental, this is what it is. Nothing more, nothing less. Wow. And you had to really think about it. I don't have a really good sense of taste or smell. And so I struggled, but it made me work harder in the area of being more mindful. And so I came home, and it took me a while to realize what I'd learned before it really hit me years later. And it wasn't, I guess the coaching is what brought it out. So I'm like, and that was a great experience for me because now I can spread that to others, and they can do that with their wellness.
Yeah, a big part of wellness coaching is savoring, right? Like it's not only like we want to move beyond struggling into savoring our lives. And what a perfect example of like kind of like utilizing all of your senses just in an everyday experience, or maybe not so everyday, but just to kind of become more grounded again and sort of slow down, like you were saying, and experience the world on a slower pace. I really feel like so much of health issues we are going a million miles an hour. I know this is definitely true for me. And you can't take care of yourself if you are going a million miles an hour. You can't do both. There is this idea of just becoming more mindful and slowing down, and really checking in with yourself and seeing, how do I feel, what's around me, what am I experiencing, and in your case, what a fantastic experience. I think that would be a great way to do mindfulness, for people that maybe need that extra, like, more sensory experience, beyond like sitting on a cushion and meditating. Some people need that more engagement that way. So that's a fantastic story. Go ahead.
What's better than your own personal experience doing something?
Exactly. Very well said.
Instead of having to conjure up something maybe you've never experienced before. Not that it doesn't work, but it doesn't seem to be as profound as an experience. So, yeah.
So well said. Rusty, I'm gonna take a really short break here, and then we're gonna come back, and then let's just go a little bit deeper into your book, and also we want to mention your other book too, which I think sounds really great. Okay. So we'll be right back. You're listening to The Wellness Coach on Blog Talk Radio. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to The Wellness Coach on Blog Talk Radio. I'm your host, Edie Summers, and my guest today is Rusty Gregory. He has a master's degree in kinesiology, and he runs a personal training studio. He's an active contributor to dailyrx.com and is an emerging leader in publishing health news for consumers, and is the author of Self-Care Reform, How to Discover Your Own Path to Good Health, as well as Living Wheat-Free for Dummies. And Rusty, I was wondering if you wanted to tell us, before we get back into your book that we're here to talk about today, Self-Care Reform, because now you're going to come back on and talk about Living Wheat-Free for Dummies, but can you just give us a preview of what that's about? I mean, I have this little card here. I can maybe read some of it too if you wanted to, but do you want to give us a preview?
The Living Wheat-Free for Dummies? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, or do you want me to read this card?
Sure, I'll comment.
Okay, I'll read the card. Okay, so this is your other book, Living Wheat-Free for Dummies, and maybe we can, if something comes up out of this card that I'm reading. So it says, eliminate wheat, lose weight, and feel great. Wheat and other grains are major contributors to obesity, type 2 diabetes, autoimmune diseases, and many other conditions. Eliminating grains is key to your health and longevity. This definitive guide to going wheat-free will give you the goods on this healthy lifestyle, including recipes for great wheat-free meals and tips to maintain healthy wheat-free ways, discover the problem with wheat, key differences between wheat and gluten, the link between sugar and wheat, hidden wheat on food labels, alternative recipes for traditional grain dishes, and exercises to enhance your wheat-free lifestyle. So now, is this out now, or this is coming out, or it looks like it's out now? It's out now. Okay.
It's out at Barnes & Noble. You can find it there. And
wow.
Maybe some other bookstores have it too. So, yeah, it's there.
That's pretty impressive.
It's up on Amazon. Thank you.
It's on Amazon, and then go ahead.
Well, yeah, just you type in the title, of course, or my name, and it'll pull it up.
Okay. And also, it was also co-written by Alan Chasen. I want to mention him too. Am I saying his name correctly?
Yes.
Alan Chasen.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
He also has a degree in kinesiology, and runs a personal training studio. And then, how did you get this gig, Rusty, for writing this book? I'm very curious about that as an author.
Seriously. Okay.
Before we get back to self-care reform.
Well, I tell you, it was kind of interesting. I'm sure we kind of went in the back door. To make a really long story short, my business partner, Alan Jason, we both have personal training businesses under one roof. And anyway, he and his wife went on a cruise a couple of years ago. And they met somebody And they met another couple. They had dinner with them, and this guy had been on a low-carb diet trying to lose weight, and he had been, but he was kind of on again, off again, and he was gaining and he was losing, and, that whole thing. Alan then helps him by saying, hey, why don't you, he started giving him some tips and things. And sure enough, this guy, they leave the cruise. This guy goes home and he drops 30, 40, 50 pounds, whatever it was some large amount of weight.
Wow.
This guy also, and this is really, I still don't know how this works, but this guy had, he had several irons in the fire, and one of the things that he had, he had toyed around with wheat-free, a diet that eliminated wheat from your diet, and he had a website for it. I don't know if it was a Facebook page or if it was a website, but he had a few likes here and there and a little bit of conversation going on about it. But out of nowhere, the Dummies publisher, Wiley's, approached him and said, hey, we're looking for somebody to write this book.
Wow.
And you look like you've got some credentials behind you. Would you be interested? And he goes, oh, yeah, that would be great. But do you mind if I have a friend of mine help me? Let's co-author it.
Wow.
And the editor said, sure. And so he asked Alan, and Alan does it. And they're about to do it. And then this guy has to bow out because he's going to China for a month for work or something, or Japan or something. And so, Alan then asked me to do it. So
that's awesome.
That's how we co-authored it. And that's totally backdoor. I mean, it wasn't, we didn't do the typical write up the proposal and send it in and hope they like it.
Right,
which
right.
I think is generally the way to do that.
Yeah, but that's so great. What a great story. And it's very serendipitous. And just congratulations,
it is.
And then you have your other, I mean, that's huge. And then you have your other book out as well. And so, so let's get back to that. So we'll do another show on that's all about living weight free, because that's a huge topic.
That's
and
a series. That's
a series.
Right.
That's a series.
It is.
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely. So let's we want to just educate people, and I have trouble with wheat too. So I don't know if it's I mean, there are a lot of reasons for that, I think, but I mean, just the reason that people have trouble with it. So so back to your book, Self-Care Reform. What would you say is the basic premise of your book, Self-Care Reform?
Well, we've talked so much about a lot of this stuff, but basically it's a toolbox. It's a toolbox with thought-provoking questions that are used to stir the emotions inside you and to get you to change. To really get you to think about, like I said earlier, what's most important to you right now. And why. And when you answer those truthfully, some emotion will come out. And that's what you want to. And we kind of talked briefly about the goal setting, and once you set strong, healthy goals, that are well written, and you're applying, a determined attitude, and throwing some accountability in there, and it's attached to what is truly most important to you. That answer, that I don't know that failure is a possibility. I really don't.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're that determined, and most people don't even write the goals because they're so determined, and they're just going to, just plow over it. But when you do that, I've not seen anybody go wrong with that at all.
I think that it absolutely can set you up for success. And I have to say, in your book, you do ask, I like how you say toolbox, you do ask really great questions in here. So here's one, for example: if you had no obligations for a day, what life-giving activities would you perform? I mean, what a great question. And this is also the heart of wellness coaching, I think, right? Also beyond cultivating a positive relationship with a client, which is huge, and this is what wellness coaches particularly are really good at, I think, is cultivating that positive relationship. But it's asking really great questions, right? Because these are going to help you think in a different way and really help you get in touch with that deep emotional response, which is where you can begin to change. So that's a great one. So here's another one. What strengths of yours can you draw upon when you are sluggish emotionally during your workouts? So here, that's going to lead to the next question about exercise. So this is that's a great question, because I think so many people get stuck on exercise. The number one excuse I hear is, I don't have time for it. I mean, I'm wondering what your answer to that is, but also just in general. So here's my official question. So exercise is so important for our health, yet many people don't enjoy doing it, or think they don't enjoy doing it, right? Because they might be doing maybe the kind that maybe they don't like, because there's other kinds out there. But what strategies have you found helpful in helping your clients commit to exercise?
Okay. Well, first and foremost, I'm a bit biased, as you probably have figured out by now, but I'm a trainer. So I believe you need to go find a trainer that's going to help get you on the program that's best fit for you. And that's going to take into consideration, physical limitations that you have, your goals, your desires, what it is you want to get out of a workout, and, have them design a program that's going to meet those needs that you have and those desires. So that's big. And second, we've talked about mindfulness. Okay. Now, more specifically, we didn't get real specific with it, but what I have found, and this is kind of interesting, I wanted to try this on some of my clients while I was writing this book. So, take it for what it's worth. It's not, hundreds of thousands of people in a study or anything like that. But I used them. I had them, and these were people who didn't enjoy exercise. I mean, it was drudgery. They came in with a horrible mood, and they left with a great one because they weren't going to see me for the next however many days. So, and what this was I had them with every exercise. They had to describe three non-judgmental words what they were feeling, what they were experiencing. Okay. It could be, I feel the X muscle contracting. I feel my body temperature rising. It couldn't be positive, it couldn't be negative. I didn't want either one. I wanted exactly what they were experiencing and nothing more. Okay.
Crucial.
And then I had them doing it with their breathing. Okay. And what it did was, it didn't necessarily give me any information, because I had them tell me at the end of each set. It didn't give me any information that was mind-boggling or shocking or anything. It made them leave that negative thought of exercise behind.
Wow.
And so
that's huge.
They were able to just focus on what was going on. And I said, I said, do not give me an answer that's positive or negative. I didn't want it. And so just what is. And for those that really think it's drudgery, it really works. And so that's taking mindfulness on a really, really, not personal level, but, right down to the very
I think it's pretty personal. I wonder, I would say, have you ever thought about writing a book on, mindfulness and well-being or something? Because, I was going to say, because, your ideas are fantastic.
Well, thank you.
I've never really,
exercise. But,
you thought about doing what? Mindfulness exercises?
Yeah, mindful exercise, something.
That's a great. Yeah, that's a fantastic. Well, we won't say it, but that's fantastic. Anyone, you know what I'm talking about. Not that you can trademark that stuff, I guess, but I think that's brilliant right there. So, and that would get people's attention.
Yeah.
Don't you think? I think it would. It's kind of well, it kind of reminds me of, there are a couple books out there. I kind of wrote one myself on but there's one called Coach Yourself Thin. It tells you, you want to read it just because of the title. So, well, that's very interesting. Some people will pick that up somewhat. Okay, so, and then, Rusty, I'm curious, what mistakes do people, so brilliant, and we could talk about that forever, but I'm going to ask you another question. What mistakes do people tend to make when setting wellness goals?
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like when I go to a party. As soon as somebody, of course, there's usually food there that I'm not going to eat, and everybody kind of knows it. I get a pass, by the way, and that's nice.
You get a what? You get a pass?
I get a pass. So, I mean, he's a trainer. He's not going to eat that. And they're not offended. That's nice. I appreciate that. Because a lot of people feel really uncomfortable going to a party and not eating food because, they don't get that pass or they don't think that that's another story. But when I'm there, people realize I'm a trainer or a wellness coach. They're always like, I got to lose 10 pounds. I got to lose 30 pounds. All this. And you should hear it, over New Year's, right? I mean, if it's bad in the middle of the year, it's really bad in New Year's. And so they make these goals. They're very flippant. They're not based on anything. They're not thought out. They don't think about it. They're just going from Thanksgiving through New Year's on, and they're missing the workouts. They're eating terribly, and they're gaining 5-10 pounds, whatever. Oh I got to get back on my routine, and it's nothing that's really determined is a better word.
Okay.
And they lack the determination. It's more flippant, and there's no authenticity to it.
Okay.
They haven't considered their obstacles. And when I say determined, I mean this is a goal right here that are the attributes of a goal that's thought out, that's set by a determined person. That they've got an accountability buddy that's going to look after them. They've got a high level of commitment, and that goal is really specific to what they're going to be doing.
Specific, and it's smart. Go ahead. It's smart. You talk about this in your book. We learn this in Well Coaches, but it's also there's you really go into detail, and you make it your own too. Like, how can you make your goal not only not flippant, but make it specific, but so smart is specific, measurable. Is it action oriented, realistic, and timelined, and that's really important because you can't make these random goals. They have to be super, super specific. Remember, I don't know who trained you on the SMART goals, but we had to learn the 5 o'clock news, when is it going to be, where's it going to be, who's it going to be with, when's it going to be, and that makes a huge difference, and it really makes it real, and it brings you back into the now moment. You can tie it in with mindfulness almost. That's a really great answer, though. I never really thought about it that way. Yeah, that you can that a goal, if you make it flippantly, really isn't going to hold. It's not based on anything real.
That's one thing people do with the flippantness of it, but they also, they'll state an outcome as a goal.
No, right. Oh, yes, for sure.
I want to lose X amount of pounds or weight, whatever, and they're not. That doesn't describe what they're going to be doing to get there.
Okay. Yeah. Very well said. Okay. Now so this, when we first learned about this, it took me a while to understand this. So if it's okay with you, let's explain this again for people who are listening. It might be the first time they've heard it. So we're talking about the difference between, are they called outcome goals, which is like a New Year's resolution goal, right? I'm going to lose 10 pounds. Versus,
you can call whatever you want to. It's just a poorly written goal because it's giving us the answer before the question. It's not saying that the outcome. All you're doing is telling me what you want to do, and that's lose 10 pounds. I want to know what you want to do on a day-to-day basis that's going to get you to that 10 pounds.
And to get you there.
What are the steps you're going to have to take to get you to that 10-pound loss in X amount of time? 3 months, 6 months, 12 months? What is it going to take? And let's focus, like you said, on that more mindfulness type of goal that got us right here, right now. What have I got to do right now, today, to help get me there down the road?
Yeah, what's that first brick you're going to lay? Not the whole wall.
Yes.
You're not going to build the whole building. You're not the whole wall. What's that first brick you're going to lay? What's that goal? And how is that an action? It's an action-oriented goal usually. Sometimes it can be a little different depending on the stage that someone's in. But that, I think that's a huge. I hope that's an aha moment for some people listening, because it's great to have a vision of where you want to be, but that's not how you get. It's part of how you get there, but how you get there is laying it brick by brick. So and hopefully in a really engaged, mindful way. So that's the difference between outcome goal. What's the other kind of goal called? I forget the term for it, but anyway, it's not outcome, so I can't remember. Yeah. Anyway, but okay, so now we're kind of talking about goals. So I need to review my Well Coaches manual at this point. And so now, what are some actions that people can take right now? We're talking about being in the moment, which I think is huge, because I think that's where change happens. And also we're talking about, I'm going to finish asking this question, but when you were talking about, I just did an interview with Dr. Ronnie Pollack. It was literally right before you. And we were talking about lifestyle medicine. And we're talking about, it's kind of tied in with wellness coaching, and it's kind of not, but it's very similar in the terms of it's what you do on a day-to-day basis that is your health. And this is, I think, where a lot of us are missing the boat, because we tend to think one thing isn't going to make a difference, but that one choice that you make every day is, generally speaking, the choice that you're going to make the next day. So that's where you have to have that mindfulness piece, and work with somebody. We're in this together. Let someone else help you.
Sure.
So start. Right. Yeah, I mean, there's, because it is absolutely possible to change. That's why wellness coaching is so exciting, and personal training. It's, letting other professionals help you achieve your goals, even your outcome goals. But so what are some actions that people can take right now that would help them start and sustain? And I think this is what Dr. Ronnie Pollack was talking about, is sustainability. How can we sustain our behaviors? Because that's really what well-being is, right? So how can we sustain an exercise and diet program? That was a long question, but
again, I'm going back to basically my main focus here, and that's identifying what's most important to you, and holding that to your SMART goals that you've written. And the SMART goals in and of themselves kind of plays into what you just said, in that innately a SMART, well-written goal has a certain accountability factor to it. Now,
I didn't think about that way.
Don't rest on that. Have a buddy, have a friend, have a coworker, somebody that can hold your feet to the fire. But the goal itself, it's like you've gone to this trouble, and you've identified that at noon tomorrow you're going to go on a 3-mile walk, and by golly, it's, you know what I mean?
It's happening.
I didn't. So it's for a lot of us, that's guilt. That accountability it plays on. It's like, oh man, I skipped it today. I feel terrible. And so, but if we go to that trouble, there is a certain level of innate accountability there, but we also need that extra person to help us. And
I agree.
Make sure that it evokes an emotion in you as well, because that's what can really strike it deep.
Okay. So well said. And I just, and we're going to, so again, so people can get your book, your books, they're on Amazon.com, and I'm going to mention both of them again. There's Self-Care Reform, that's what we've been talking about today primarily, how to discover your own path to good health, and this is by Rusty Gregory. So, and then also your other book is Living Wheat-Free for Dummies. And that's also available. You said it's on Barnes & Noble and Amazon.com, right?
Yes.
And is Self-Care Reform also on Barnes & Noble? Oh, go ahead.
Yes, actually it is. It is.
Okay.
And you can also go to my website, rustygregory.com, and you can find the books as well.
Oh, perfect. And I love your website, by the way. It's really dynamic, and so congratulations on that. And then, so I always like to end with like asking someone to give some takeaways, like what are like a couple of like one or two key points that people can take away with them. But first, I wanted to ask you, in your book, and you do talk about also aha moments in your book, but you also talk about faith and hope. I was wondering, I don't get it to talk to a lot of people about this, so I was wondering if I just really appreciated this, like having faith. Like I'm going to read this straight from your book, actually. According to Hebrews, I don't know if I'm saying this correctly. Is it 11:1? I don't know how you say that. Mm-hmm. Anyway, okay. Faith is believing in what you long for and trusting in the unseen, regardless of your circumstances. Let's see. I can keep reading here, but I really like that first part. What factor does faith play in people? I mean, faith of any kind, really, but how do people, because when you're first starting out, a lot of people don't have a lot of confidence that we were talking about, and they also don't have a lot of faith in themselves or in a higher power or really much of anything sometimes. Mm-hmm. I'm wondering, have you found that to be a huge factor for you and also in your clients? Like, does it make a difference for them?
Yeah, well, I mean, you said it. I mean, you said it with the confidence. It evokes what confidence faith does. Faith evokes the confidence that when you are embarking on a wellness thing, an area of your own wellness that you want to approach, for example, you can do it. I mean, you can do it. And you may not do it at the superstar level. There are not many of us that I don't know of any that can, really. But, understand that you don't have to be, top level, but that anything is better than what's going on right now if you're not doing anything. And so faith and knowing that you have the confidence and taking that step forward, that it will be in your best interest, is really big with people. And a lot of times people are afraid to do that because they lack the confidence. They don't have the faith. And it also, I think you say here, it's easy for us to lose faith in what's best for us. I mean, that's so profound. I mean, how many of us have lost faith in ourselves, let alone the bigger picture? Right. I think that's a huge part of it is finding, believing in yourself again and believing in your life and believing in life itself. Like, I mean, we're here for a reason. Like, we're created. I mean, it's just that's a whole other subject. But I just, I think really getting in touch with like that feeling of like, okay, wait a second, I have life force in me. This is sacred. This is profound. Right. What do I want to do with it? And I don't want to preach to people, but I just I also really love the statement you say, as belief and trust in something grows, so does our faith in it. And that, of course, you can tie that into confidence. And I just really want to encourage people to not only give themselves a break, but also like find out who you are. Like, what do you really want, and how is that tied in with your well-being? And that can make that journey easier, in my opinion. And then having faith that everything will work out if you show up for yourself, I think that would be, I guess, my takeaway. Sure. That just kind of came to me. Sure. But I'm wondering, do you have any takeaways? And I don't want to put you on the spot, but I just, is there anything that's popping into your mind, or, and if not, I can read something from your book. One thing that we just touched on, and I'm kind of glad we didn't go really into it because we'd be, just now, we'd be in this forever. But that's the status of change. And what I have found with people, excuse me, when they discover the areas where they are in their wellness and the different stages of change, they can so identify with where they are. And when they've identified with where they are, it personalizes the whole program. This whole thing is about you. It's about the personalness of your own wellness program. And see, we're told what to do by the media. We got to stop doing this. We got to start doing this, and this is what makes you healthy. This doesn't make you unhealthy. Instead of me as a personal trainer, I need to find out what the physical limitations are. I need to find out what an exercise history this person I'm about to start working out has. I need to find out a lot of information about them before I create a program for them. And that's because they don't have the information to do so. This book, I'm hoping, will allow people to create that for themselves in their overall wellness program, and not just the workout. Yes.
Yeah.
And if you're starting from scratch, okay, the questions are, what do you need to do right now? That may be to pick up the phone call and call the nearest gym and say, all right, what do I need to do to get started? And, you can't be too whatever to start. We all have a starting point.
Yeah.
And you're never too far out of it to start, is what I'm trying to tell you.
I love that. That's so well said, I think. And that comes back to the title again, Self-Care Reform. This is about you. And it's about, it's really getting excited about your life. What are the possibilities and what lies beyond that stuckness? There's a whole lot that lies beyond it. I think both you and I can attest to that. Like I always get excited for people when they tell me they want to lose weight or whatever it is, because I always think to myself, well, if they have the courage to follow through on that and the determination, they're in for a ride, because there's quite a bit on the other side. So I say get excited about your life, and there's a lot to look forward to, and there's a lot to live. But it comes back to being in the moment with it, and it comes back to what's going on inside of you. So Rusty, thank you so much for being here. So the book again is Self-Care Reform: How to Discover Your Own Path to Good Health. Again, so well said. And it has Uncle Sam pointing at you, so you really, that's it tells it's right in the moment. And then you can go and it's available on Amazon and also Barnes and Noble, and also on your website, rustygregory.com. Is there anything else that you would like to add in today? Okay.
I think we covered it. I think we've done it. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. It was my pleasure to have you on, and I'll have you. You'll come back on, and we'll talk about your other book, Living. We'll come back and we'll talk. Living Wheat Free for Dummies. So, okay. Thanks, Rusty. I appreciate it, and I will talk to you soon.
Okay. Take care.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Take care. Bye bye.